problem with everything coming off with screws. You kind of end up taking it apart when you're doing something like hair drying the floor. There's a massive puddle built up over the winter. There's still snow still on its way out. And basically, I now have a pile of dash which has a crack in from before, and I've always thought about fixing it. I had a little piece of paper which I think was an original label for something, which is going to be really hard to see, but it's really faded writing on it. And that was stuck visibly in the dash. And then I had one of the lights has gone out, the little bulbs here. So that comes out nice and easy. And that is going to be fixed next. So, you know, 3 jobs, take the dash off, and we're going to see if that can be repaired. Back in the car, playing with some dashboard. Okay, so I have 2 of these. I don't think as much as I can tell you on there. But basically, there it is, N286S. These are what need to go into the dash. So for lights, we have up at the top. This is the one that has gone above the fuel gauge. And hopefully you can see there it is. It just needs pushing slightly and twisting. It's lovely and fiddly, but it goes all the way around until it pops out. And you have a plastic holder with an bulb in. I'm sure there's a very sensible way of getting the bulb out, which is not probably with your teeth, but it seems to work for me. So, those are in fact the bulbs that are required. They're the little type with the sort of squashed pinched end with a metal contact, one on either side. And it is simply a push fit into the bulb holder. Push it in and then turn it until it squishes down on the wire, which is this bit here, obviously, holds it in place. That is a really, really basic contact. So I'm going to replace both of these. I'm going to see if we have some power. It's very cold, so the dash is actually slightly misted up. It all looks a bit hazy, but there we are. So sensible things to do, replace both bulbs, because in case the other one blows, or to be honest, I don't want to have to do this in 2 months' time, take it apart again. I've just saved a bit of a job. Second thing, before putting it back together, turn some stuff on, turn some lights on. There are, and I know this is nearly impossible to see, with it misting up as it is, but there are dash lights in there. That tiny little glowing thing there is one, and the tiny glowing thing there, we can't even see, is number 2. If I squash it against, no, that's not going to help. But you just have to take my word for it that both of them are now working. It's maybe a tricky one. We've got the dashboard back here. This is where I've hopefully glued it. With the patch, it's all solid. It's not super pretty, but it's not going to rattle around. This is not going to be the best video, I don't think, of how to install a dashboard, but I'm going to talk it through and you just have to kind of go with what we can see. This is mostly trying to get it underneath the steering wheel, but unfortunately that means I can't get anything else in there. How the hell I got this off, I do not know. So we might have to stop that bit again. Push it back. Shove it backwards. That's the better way of doing it, turns out. Push it on, shove it back. There's a couple of pieces in. Slipped in one bit, I think. The only one that's not a standard crosshead screw is this little Torx at the side here. getting somewhere. We've got somewhere. I'm tightening the Torx down because that locks it into place. It's pretty well stuck in there. I can see why someone probably broke the dash when they've possibly taken it off before. But we've got it back in place. Screw, 4 screws to go in there. Don't over tighten them, especially on brittle plastic, or else you'll hear a crack and they'll just be spinning. Top one's easy. That bit of trim. Try not to break it, but that's all there is. It's a few clips on there. And that just covers. That's a nice and easy one. Right, yeah, this video is getting way too long. So there's the triangle you're just fitting back on, nice easy clips. Below it we have the heater vents. They just pull out, no screws at all there and there. Next, heater controls. Pull out the 2 end ones, and you'll see screws at either end. This panel then comes off. You've got a couple of secondary screws holding in either side of this bit of plastic and here. That also holds in the whole of the sort of heater unit behind there. Here is the crack. It looks, not super lined up. I haven't melted and tried to put printing or anything, but it's absolutely solid. It's fabric and epoxy resin. Really easy, cheap way to do that. Hopefully the sort of thing you've got lying around. Dash, nice and cleaned up. Nothing super fancy, but visible at night. Everything else super helpful. That little hole there is the Torx bit. You pay attention to that because that is where you need to loosen off to get this side of the dash out. It doesn't come all the way out, it's just loose so that it's move free. And underneath here we have, apart from whatever that horrible stuff is there, screw holes. That goes all the way up through the steering column, these holes here, and holds the dash on at the front here to stop it moving around. So now we've got a fully rattle-free dash, and everything is where it should be. So I didn't want to make a pure how-to video because I'd already started taking stuff apart by the time I'd started filming. This is what happened. I was sitting in the car, trying to dry out the carpet, just fiddling with bits. It was over long. I know it's very difficult to condense anything meaningful out of that, but if you've got questions, please ask them because that's probably the easiest way. It's more the point that this stuff just comes apart so easily when you start playing with it. Obviously, you've still got to be careful with brittle plastics not to break anything, but if you're being sensible, most of this stuff is entirely fixable. That whole thing was a 78p job, the 2 bulbs, and I've now got less rattling, I've got visibility at night, and I haven't got weird bits of paper that just annoy me stuck into the dashboard.